Everyone, this is Light, and welcome to a quick guide to the custom summon. So, before we start, it's very important to note that every time there is a custom banner, something big is coming up. So, the whole point of this banner is to bait you into using your bookmarks, so I highly recommend not pulling on anything, unless you really need the unit. So yeah, typically older players will use the custom banner to put whatever unit and their corresponding artifact on so they can buy the artifact with powder. For example, if I slap Lethe on my banner, I'll be able to buy what's it called? Her Prayer of Solitude for 240 powder. So yeah, that's what people typically use this for. But if you really want to pull units, I do recommend DN and Gala. DN is actually pretty decent in RTA. She has pretty good presence. Like she's really good against more aggressive drafts. Like she makes crit based units do no damage. And yeah, she's a decent unit overall. If you really want to pull her, although I don't think you really need her, to be honest. But she is nice to have if you really want to pull a cleanser for RTA. Otherwise, don't bother, her artifact is whatever. Gala, you're guaranteed to use Gala at least once a month because she's really good at hell rate if anything. She's okay in RTA. And if you really want, you'll probably find a use for her in Guild War and Arena, but otherwise she's kind of whatever. I mean, her S3 does a lot of damage in PvE, but it's kind of whatever. And her artifact is also whatever, because like no one really plays like ERVVK or whatever that much anymore. So yeah, I wouldn't really recommend it. But if you really want to pull a unit, like these two are decent. And then we have units that you would only put on the custom banner to buy their artifact with powder. Keep in mind you don't want to pull, especially for artifacts, because even though it lets you choose which artifacts are raid up, you can get an off-banner artifact still. That has always been like a glaring issue with the custom summon. So yeah, we have Cerise here for her Guiding Light, and Guiding Light is good to have a handful of them. I personally use only like 3, but it's good to have. The unit itself is very lackluster. Like sure you see her in expeditions all the time, but you don't need her. You definitely don't need her. And Fairy Tale Tenebria, her artifact is really good for Harcetti and Solitaria. And then the really nice thing about her artifact is somehow it is not a whale artifact. Like there's no proc chance, there's no stats attached to it. Like leveling up her artifact is just increasing the damage it does. Like that's a good artifact design. So yeah, very nice option, and it doesn't leave you obligated to use bottles on it. So yeah, very nice. So this unit itself is okay. So it's an okay debuffer. Definitely replaceable though. And Caesarea, if you use Caesarea a lot, if you use Pyroflan a lot, you definitely need to have a max Caesarea artifact, even 2. So if you need one, go for it. The unit itself, she's okay. If you cleave and go over an arena a lot, she's okay. Lethe. So I think Lethe artifact is actually the highest priority, because the thing about Lethe artifact is that it increases your currency gain during the like the summer farming event based on your artifact level, right? So you do actually probably want to pull for this until it's maxed, because if that event rolls around again, like you want to be like as efficient as possible. And the artifact is also really good on Alencia. So yeah, if you don't know what to pick, I would highly recommend putting Lethe on your banner. Then we have units that are here. Even though these are unlimited units, they're still very valuable because of the artifact that comes attached to them. So like we get Sigurds from Fire Ravi, and Sigurds is basically the best in slot for every warrior that doesn't need Sweet Miracle and is attack based. Like it's good for Hua Young, it's good for Wukong, it's good for Lone Crescent Bellona, it's good for Emerald Ken. It's basically good for every like lifesteal based warrior. So yeah, Sigurd's really good. I would recommend having 3 to 4 maxed eventually. So yeah, very nice pool. However, keep in mind that it is still 240 powder buying from this shop compared to 120 buying from the normal powder shop. So if you don't really need it, you probably should just wait till it's in powder shop. And then Charlotte comes with Obris. Yuffie and Candy are still decently good. So if you don't have an Obris for them, it's not a bad idea. But again, because these are regular artifacts, they will come back to the powder rotation. So if you don't need it immediately, I wouldn't recommend pulling for it. Then we have Brigida. If you play Frida, Luna Cleave regularly in like Guild War and Arena, you definitely want a plus 21 bird's eye view because that's like the cutoff for giving enough souls. Like you want a plus 21 bird's eye so that you can soul burn Luna, press Frida S3, and then you will have enough souls to burn whatever you want. So yeah, 21 is the cutoff. So yeah, very strong artifact for cleaving. So yeah, if that's what you need, go for it. And yada yada. We talked about how Laya, unfortunately Laya cannot be pulled. And now I'll talk about the units that like, even though these are limited units, they're pretty and all that, but I wouldn't recommend pulling them overall. Like Ahmed is for like very weird cleaves. The Shard effect is whatever. Would not waste a slot on her. Luna, the unit is whatever. Her artifact is whatever. Warrior artifacts are too strong. Like there's basically no point pulling. Holiday Yuffie, the unit sucks. And her artifact, it's funny on Payra. It's funny like stunning people with it on Payra, but otherwise nah. Biblis, non-existent, so it's her artifact. Landy, I know Landy is used in a lot of PvE, but she's definitely not necessary anymore at all. And very rarely in RTA, but again, not worth pulling for. Then we have Sharklet, same thing, not worth pulling for. Mature Sunglasses is whatever. There's plenty of other artifacts to use. There's nothing special about her. And then we have SSV. I know so many Wyvern teams use SSV, but you definitely don't need her. Like the only thing I use SSV for is like Hellraid or something, and yeah, you definitely don't need her. You don't need her artifact either. Easy skip. And Luluka, very rare pick in RTA, and her artifact is really whatever. Like the best Soul Weaver artifact by far is Guardian Ice Crystal, so yeah, it's really whatever. I would not recommend pulling for like if you really like these units, go for it, but again, this banner is to bait you into using your bookmark, so if you can avoid pulling, you should. So yeah, that's about it. I hope it was helpful. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask, and I'll see you guys next time.